right, welcome everybody to today's webinar. For anybody that doesn't know me, I'm Megan Twentyman, the BDM for Unified Communications here at Bluechip. For the webinar today, we're looking at version 20 update 2, which is now in alpha, plus a bit more of the roadmap and a little bit of hearing from Sebastian, who's joined us today. So Sebastian Havvas is our channel manager for Australasia. For any of those that heard the banter at the beginning, we do call it stupid o'clock in the morning because Sebastian gets up very early. He's been at work for a couple of hours already and it's 4:30 in the morning his time. So welcome, Sebastian. Great to have you on with us today.
Thank you, Megan. Big warm welcome to all the 3CX partners that have joined today. For those of you who I haven't met, my name is Sebastian Havvas and I've been working the 3CX market in Australasia for just over 3.5 years now. So a big welcome to you. Thank you for joining us and taking your time. I've got a little few tidbits for you on where we're going, our little roadmap, and look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Sebastian. So we'll crack into it. We will try and stick to our bite-sized format, but there is a lot to share today. If you have questions as we go along, feel free to use the chat at the bottom of your screen, and we will answer those at the end, and we'll also open up the Q&A at the end. So what's on the agenda today? Core focus is to have a look at what's new. So we'll be looking at update 2, which is already in alpha. A little bit of the roadmap beyond update 2, a little bit of housekeeping about those migrations from version 18 to version 20 and the important dates that you don't want to miss. A little bit from me on just our resources and keeping up to date with our newsletters, and then we will end with the Q&A. So you're going to hear from me to start with, and then I am going to hand over to Sebastian as well. So bear with us as we get you all up to date with what's happening with 3CX. All right, so update 2 alpha came out midway through June. I loved the key messages that came out when it was released, which was AI meets 3CX. 3CX does teams and admins control all. And you'll see from the features that we're going to have a look at what this all means. But, you know, AI is such an important part of what's happening out there at the moment. And it's fantastic that version 20 for 3CX is future-proofed and ready to go and already starting to implement this into the features. So some key focus areas have been around some advanced AI functionality and reporting, enhancing the enterprise features within version 20, and don't forget that alongside version 20, we've seen all that work on the new Windows soft phone, which is greatly enhanced. In terms of a timeline for update 2, what has been released by 3CX is that we should expect to see a beta and a release candidate before the European August summer break. So, you know, July we will expect to see those betas and release candidates, but we're already testing update 2 ourselves, and I know lots of you will be as well. But just a reminder, it is an alpha, so it's not for production just yet. So let's take a little bit more of a deep dive. You know, AI needs to be in products for the future. It's about working smarter, right? So one of the new features in update 2 is an open API for Whisper API support. What does this do? It's a transcription tool from OpenAI. So it's going to be able to transcribe calls and voicemail, and you're no longer going to have to use Google Drive or Google Transcription. So it's just the next step in that evolution, which also leads to the next cool feature, which is around the summary and sentiment analysis. So we're always looking at how we do things and whether we do things well or whether we've got room for improvement. So sentiment analysis is how that call is perceived, and you can start to break that down and look at it per call, per ring group, per queue, per agent, that type of thing. And that helps with addressing any concerns for a better customer experience, because like anybody and anything, 3CX is focused on that end customer experience. We want everybody to have a great experience of the 3CX technology. With this comes enhancements to existing 3CX reports. So you'll see that many reports will start to add some extra valuable data. Now, I've taken a couple of screenshots from 3CX, which you can see that you're starting to see things like the sentiment appearing and that type of stuff. So that will help supervisors, call center managers to be able to start gathering information. Data is so important to everybody. But what's more important is that they'll actually be able to do something with that data and help with training and therefore enhance that customer experience. Another key thing in Update 2 Alpha has been some enhancements to Microsoft Teams presence. So Sync is currently from 3CX to Teams, but with Update 2, it'll also be from Teams back to 3CX, and you do not need to have implemented the Teams direct routing for that to occur. You just need to make sure that your Microsoft 365 is integrated properly and configured properly. So most of us will have Microsoft 365 integrated for those bigger instances. So this will again just make life that little bit easier. Another thing that will go final once Update 2 goes final is the Windows installer. So the official release will occur when Update 2 goes live. It was in Alpha and now it's in the Update 2 Alpha as well. To be really clear, there's been lots of rumors that, there was a bit of a conspiracy or an agenda around the Windows installer. That's not the case. It's purely been to do with workload. And this was actually publicly stated in 3CX's blog. And you can see that there, which is there is no agenda to avoid companies using Windows as a server. It was just around that workload. Just a reminder that there are customers that need to install on Windows. It will be restricted to the enterprise license, and 3CX were generously upgrading people that were on version 20 and using a Windows installer from the Pro to the enterprise license until the end of the term. Then the renewals will be at enterprise levels. So that is here to stay. We know that it's required for some instances. We do globally see many, many more instances deployed on Linux, as most of you do. But the Windows is there for those that need it, and it will be restricted to that enterprise license. In terms of administrator controls, there's much more ability to be able to, configure at a user level. Can they see numbers of other users in the group? Can they hide the calls from other users? That type of stuff. So we're starting to really see the power of those departments, which started life as groups back in Update 6, which was way back in 2023, so it was a long time ago now. But it's giving us the ability to do some sort of basic call operations, including being able to pick up and transfer and divert, park and unpark, etc., etc. So it's always really good when we see those administrators or supervisors being able to have more control over their agents, which again leads to that better customer experience. Little things like being able to see who's connected to your PBX and view active browser logins also means that if somebody is not meant to be on there, you can terminate them. Currently, this is for web client connections, but the future plans are for to include application connections as well. So it's just giving more power again to the administrators, to the system owners, that type of thing, to protect your instance at all times. Other things coming in Update 2 Alpha as we see the return of the much loved activity log. There's also some new functionality around high priority for packet settings. So that's just meaning that you're giving that voice that high priority. It does require your firewall to respect that. But, again, it's just more about ensuring that great experience for customers. There's also a better option for those of us using the mobile apps via Wi-Fi because of that high priority. So really good to see these features coming in. The other thing that has been talked about for some time now was the ability to have a private video conferencing setup. This comes in Update 2 Alpha. This is for companies and organizations that are really concerned about sharing their IP. So being able to configure that is really important, and there's a lovely link on the blog post to the guide on what that looks like. Organizations are always concerned about protecting their data and their information. There's some cool processing scripts on the SIP trunk. So you can start to do some of those kind of smart things that we've talked about off and on. What's coming. You don't always have to use the call flow designer anymore because we've got these scripts available. So you can trigger the script on the inbound call and route it off to where you need it to go. So it's all just about working a little bit smarter and enhancing that experience. This is a new one, and I've had a few conversations with partners around this. And this is about the ability on a call queue to be able to target busy agents. And you sort of go, well, why would you want to target busy agents? Well, what about if you've got customers waiting in the queue and several of your call agents are just on personal calls, making a doctor's appointment or doing that type of stuff. This gives the ability for them to also be targeted to say, hey, business is calling, we need your help, and that type of thing. It's a very simple logic that's been applied here, and you need to make sure that this is going to work for your organization and your business strategy. But I think this is a really cool feature. You know, if you've got a couple of agents talking internally to other staff members, customer calls are always more important, so this allows them to have that priority. Now, this is one of the most exciting bits that we've seen in a long time that has been talked about. So for those of us that have been on the 3CX journey for a long time, we're familiar with multi-tenancy. It was there and then it was gone. There's been a long pathway to getting this back, but it is coming back in update 2. But there are some restrictions. Effectively, the SMB solution, which is your cloud hosted and licensed all-in-one solution, started off as life with startup, is now called SMB, so we need to keep using that SMB terminology, is effectively just a nice big 3CX that's been sliced and diced up into segments of 10 extensions or 20 extensions. So 3CX have not confirmed yet at what size this will occur. So they've talked about a 64 simultaneous call, but potentially down to a 32. So we just need to watch the space and see what decisions are made internally at 3CX. So this is designed for partners, MSPs, to be able to group lots of small little businesses into individual little departments and segment up their licensing. It'll make your licensing life easier. Imagine dealing with 164 simultaneous call license instead of 10 or 20 for simultaneous call licenses. So it's going to make life easier, and that call count is shared across those organizations. By department, you can send the SIP trunks in. So that's really important as well. So it also allows for generic SIP trunks. It allows you to host in your data center or your setup that you already have. So, you know, this is considered for those small customers. You're not going to be integrating things like Microsoft 365, et cetera, but it's there and it's coming. And I think it will make a lot of our partners' lives so much easier because a lot of you just operate as an MSP because you are MSP businesses. So that's the key things from update 2. Now we're going to have a look at the roadmap with Sebastian, and you get to hear from him instead of me for a change, which will be great. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen so that Sebastian can take over and share his screen. So over to you, Sebastian.
Thank you, Megan. Just checking that I'm coming through loud and clear. Can you hear me there?
Yep, you're loud and clear, and we can see your slide deck. So that's awesome.
Excellent. Thank you. And thank you for inviting me to today's webinar. I see so many recognizable names that I met in 2022, and I have been talking to Megan about possibly coming out later in the year to do a partner event with her, and also maybe some advanced training if I can drag Nicholas along with me. So that is my plan. Desperately missing coming out to New Zealand and my partners there. So without further ado, I'm going to just give you a little bit of a sneak peek into what what's coming, what our plans are, where we're going, and what we see happening over the course of the next few months. So let's get started. So on my agenda, a little bit on company strategy. I'm just going to briefly touch on product news with version 20. I know Megan has added quite a bit on that already. A sneak peek into our roadmap, a little bit of a sales update from my side, and just some information on 2023. Unfortunately for you guys, this is the crazy crew here at 3CX. We're known as the security guards, the door patrolmen, because we're the guys that are sitting in this massive building, all on our own in the dark. Nicholas joins us from time to time. He's an honorary member of the team, so when he is working with the Australian team, he will obviously come in early, but like this week, he's been working a lot with the US team, so he's late at night this week. So he does fluctuate. But Anthony and I are your two immediate contacts. So they are your, unfortunately for you, this is your team. All right, so our strategy, just to paint a little bit of a picture on what actually goes on here at 3CX. Every time we re-release an update or a new product or any new hardware, just to give you an idea of what actually goes on behind the scenes. Okay, so 3CX, because it's still self-hosted, not going anywhere, you can do so many things, so many different options with the product. We're currently sitting on around 350,000 different configurations out there. So every time a new update comes out, you can imagine how much testing is involved to make sure that the product will work with, I don't know how many different firewalls, different types of networks. We've got in excess of 150 VoIP providers, okay, of which 50% of them, which is massive, is still generic VoIP providers. We use 5 different cloud providers worldwide, and we're currently on, I think we're busy with about 4 or 5 different IP phone vendors as well. So just to give you an idea, I mean, these phone vendors, some of them have got 20, 30 different models. There is a massive amount of testing. So when Megan touched on workload earlier, I'm just trying to paint a little picture of what actually goes on behind the scenes with a new version. And with regards to V20, it was a full rebuild as well. Just to touch a bit more on that, we've got 2 different operating systems with Debian and Windows, 4 different desktop operating systems that are constantly being updated by Microsoft as well. So every time they do an update or every time someone does an update, we need to go back and rehash everything that we've been doing. So we've got a really big team of developers that we've also expanded on. We're currently a team of about 120, of which a fair chunk of that is actually developers working on this continuously to keep us on that curve, right on that curve of what's happening in the actual. And just to give you a little bit of idea of what some of the competitors are doing. For example, guys like Ring Central, Zoom, they have one VoIP provider, one operating system, maybe 1 or 2 different IP phone vendors, and one cloud provider. So even though this is what they are doing, we are still often quite a lot cheaper than them. So these are, this is just a picture that why 3CX is so successful. We do leave it open to the partners to design those systems and have all these options at their disposal as well. Okay, guys like Avaya, Mattel, and Cisco, I've seen over the last couple of months, and I'm sure you guys have as well, that there's been a lot of movement from these platforms to 3CX, especially also lately a lot of NEC as well. So these are guys that obviously haven't moved with the times and are obviously running into, we're coming up against them quite often now lately. So what is our strategy? Trying to keep our product as modern, compact, and as manageable as possible. We do need to limit certain things with regards to how many supported phones, how many supported providers, how many hosting platforms. Obviously, it's just impossible if it's just if we unlimited on these kind of things. I often get requests, can we please have these phones supported, can we please have those, just to give you an idea of actually how much work is going in behind the scenes to keep the current platform active and up to date, as well. Okay. So the only way to deliver and move forward, as a company, as a product, is to be, as Megan was saying, an innovation leader, to be on the cusp of technology. We're looking at products like AI, and to keep us on that, right on that brink of what's possible. Supportability. We've got a large platform, but it isn't impossible. So can it be supported? Can it be maintained? Obviously, security is a massive part of what we do these days. Since last year, it's become a massive priority, not only from the product development side, but even internally as a company on how we work. And then, of course, pricing. We've always been seen as a cost-effective solution that's feature-rich. So these four focus points of ours is what we are continuously trying to keep at the top of our list. So where do we want to be? 3CX has traditionally been very, very strong in the 10 to 100 business model. I think in New Zealand it would probably come across as the 10 to 50 user is very, very strong in New Zealand for us. We did add startup about a year and a half ago, and it's evolved into the SMB product, which is doing quite well in that 1 to 10 user, and we've kind of just left it there to create havoc. Very cost-effective solution. Doesn't involve a lot of heavy lifting from our partners. We do a lot on the back end for you. So those two markets were kind of covered already. Now what we are looking at is that 50 to 1,000 market. And that's the reason why we've spent so much time and effort into redeveloping version 20 and changing it, adding a lot of the product and a lot of the features that the enterprise and corporate guys were looking for. Controls, reporting tools, AI. So that's been the reason of what we are, behind the full rebuild and preparing this product for the next 5 to 10 years going ahead. Okay. We're planning that, and in that development, we had the multi-tenant in the back of our mind. So a lot of the changes that were made were making the product ready for this multi-tenant, which I'll touch on a little bit later. Okay, so moving on from there, guys, I'm not watching the questions at the moment, so I'll go back at the end and just have a quick look. If there's anything technical, just shoot me an email to sha@3cx.com, and I will get my big brain involved here with Nicholas afterwards for you. Okay, so where are we right now? We have had a lot of success already with the larger customers. We've actually signed Del Monte, which is a 40,000 user company in the US. We've also recently closed the BMW head office in Munich, which is massive. In Australia, we've had 3 deals over 3,500 users in the last 3 months, and we're busy with 2 that's going to be about 350 sites, 4,000 users. The one and the other is 6 campuses on a college that's going to go about 2,500 users. So we're already seeing a lot of buy-in from these bigger customers. The education departments seems to be a hot topic in Australia at the moment and in the region as far as education goes. and there seems to be a lot of hype and talk around 3CX, and a lot of these big campuses, universities, and schools are now looking at the 3CX as an option. Okay. But as usual, a massive percentage of our installs are 4 and 8 SC. We're not going anywhere with these. You can still self-host them on-prem. It's probably 70-80% of our business, the 4s and 8s, and even bigger percentage in the New Zealand region. So we are pushing the product to enable our partners to go look for the larger business now as well. Basically arming you so that you've got from the 1 user to 10 for the SMB, from 10 to 50 for, for the normal customers that we're already very strong with, and then version 20 focus with the CRMs and Teams integrations, and the new Grafana, which I'll touch on now, for the larger customers. Okay. Right, version 20 overview. Version 20 was a full rebuild, okay? And I don't think we fully comprehended the magnitude of this exercise when we started out doing it. And I think when Megan touched on the workload with the Windows, it was just something that we couldn't do all at the same time. Version 20 has gone back almost 20 years, and that's how far version 18 went back, and it's been an evolution over the last 20 years. Version 20, we did that all in basically 3 to 6 months of development. Added the new soft phone, we've created the departments with the new admin console. We've seriously increased the security aspect of the product, and we've added a troubleshooting side to make your lives a lot easier in finding out where the problems could be, for example, on call quality, and then preparing the product for AI, to be ready for AI. Okay, so version 18 in its current form was not ready for AI on its own. Never mind the improvements on the other aspects that I've just mentioned. So yes, it was a little bit of a staggered rollout, and a lot of partners or a lot of customers may have jumped the gun and updated to version 20 when a lot of these features had not been added. But if you were following the forums and following the blogs, you would have known that, yes, hold off, do some testing on your NFRs, and wait until a lot of these features had been added back to the actual product. Okay. Massive news in the last couple of days is the multi-tenant for a lot of those really small customers, where you can now add, like Megan was mentioning, a whole bunch of customers in different groups onto the same license. Okay. So this is going to be, originally it was going to be given to the larger partners. It looks like it's now going to be, if you buy a large license, you can activate it, which I actually quite happy to hear, because how are we going to differentiate between who gets it and who doesn't? I'm very happy with the fact. And I think at the moment, for testing purposes, they haven't locked it to a 64 or a 32. I think you can even do it on an 8 for testing in the demo in the alpha at the moment. So that is available to you. Ultimately, what it is, one large license, you can put it on your hosting, and then start adding groups for all your different customers. You can create separate, these groups can be completely siloed off from each other, so you don't have to spend time doing new installations, and you're just basically going to add groups to. So as Megan mentioned, yes, much easier from a licensing controlling perspective as well. You've got one big license, and when the 64 is full, you can then just upgrade it to a 96, 128, and grow it as your customer base grows. Essentially a department hidden from other departments, one trunk per customer, or one trunk and assign a DID to a customer. This is to obviously get around the R instance requirement. And then obviously there's a couple of other things coming along the line with it. So you are able to test it at the moment on 4s and 8s and 16s. My understanding, it hasn't been locked. You do need a little bit of knowledge I was in a demo on Friday, and you do need to be able to, you do need to know what you're doing with, for example, command prompts to activate it, to manage it. You know, I'm sure these things are going to be improved over the next couple of months, but it's not for someone that doesn't have any idea of what's going on in the space. Okay, so update 3, just a brief overview. We are putting a massive emphasis onto reporting and AI. As we all know, AI is the future. It's the focus of many companies at the moment, and AI fits 3CX so well. Okay, it's an opportunity for us to take our product to the next level. Reporting, in the next update, I believe, don't hold me to that, you're going to be able to add products like Grafana. I believe I've even heard Power BI as external reporting tools that you can plug in and generate beautiful reports. In this demo last week, it took one of our analysts about 3 minutes to generate a beautiful view, and it was no work at all. It was just so seamless. You still have access to obviously the legacy reporting within 3CX, but you're going to be able to bolt on these powerful reporting tools as well. And I know this is something that a lot of the larger customers are waiting for. Okay, so big opportunity there. Some technical stuff as well, requiring opening and mirroring of the database. If you have any questions on that, just mention it. Just email it to sha@3cx.com. Just to give you a little bit of an overview, this was one of the reports that were generated on Grafana. It was done literally in about 3 minutes. So you can see extensions in the queue, calls per hour, total calls, average waiting time, total waiting time. This is completely customizable. The colors, the graphs, the squares, how many, the size, all of this he did within about 3 minutes. It was really impressive. Calls, so from this one you can actually see calls answered, waiting time, just to give you a little bit more, feedback on those actual reports. So support, so we're going to support obviously more AI services. We're also looking at the moment into Microsoft Copilot, the OpenAI, the store call structure, the call summary, and a massive input has been put on the sentiment analysis as well. Okay, so the reporting of the average sentiment per agent, the average sentiment per queue, the sentiment trends, send summary by email, etc. These are all things that are going to come through with the next update, apparently. So you could even have an AI monitoring a call, and if it picks up that the sentiment is negative, depending if the agent is new or maybe in training, that call could immediately be transferred to a senior or a supervisor. So these are just things that are going to become available with this AI as well. Okay, some things that have happened recently: the iOS CarPlay support has been introduced with Android as well. I know there's been a couple of my partners that have been waiting for that. And then sales updates. Okay, so from our side, just to give you a little bit of feedback, we have completed the Titanium Platinum Gold partner 15% cashback. We are in the process now with Silver, so we've just closed the Silver period for submitting your invoices and your banking details. And in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we will be making those payments to the Silver partners. Okay. There's just some tips on this. No, I'm not going to go into tips because those have already been closed. So just look out for if you have submitted your invoice, just look out in about 2 to 3 weeks' time for those payments. A massive thank you to all of you who stood by us through the difficult times of last year with regards to that breach. I think this was absolutely fantastic to be able to give partners back 15% of their net sales to say thank you. where do you hear of that these days? Where we company, you don't want to know what this is actually costing us. To do this, just never mind in dollars, but in man hours. We've got thousands of partners that we're busy processing these payments for. So just be patient. We are getting through them. It will be probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Once we've completed with the silver, we are then going to pass on the free licenses to the bronze partners. From my understanding, if you did as a bronze partner up to 2,500 revenue, you're going to get a free 4SC license with hosting. If you did more than 2,500 but less than 5,000, you're going to get 2 4SC pro licenses with hosting. Okay, so that actually works out to a little bit more than 15%. As far as the academy goes, just a brief update. The courses have been updated in your portal, the basic and advanced. They are much better. The questions are much clearer. I did the basic course in about 11 minutes. I actually did the certification in about 11 minutes. I didn't have to reread the questions 20 times to understand what they were asking. Much clearer, much better, much more clean and crisp as well, much more up to date and relevant. Unfortunately, your certifications, if you do have a certification already prior to the 6th of April, you won't be able to do the tests again unless, of course, you create a new user. But we will be resetting everybody's user accounts in the very near future. If you've done the tests after the 5th of April, from the 6th of April onwards, your certs will stay. If you did them prior to that, you're going to get reset, and you'll have a limit. You'll have a nice extended time to redo the certifications. So something from our side, we're not going to hold our partners. For example, if you've done 10,000 USD in revenue and you don't have your certifications, we're not going to hold you at bronze level, because in the past you would need the advanced certification to get promoted to silver, or the advanced to get promoted to gold or platinum. That is no longer the case. The moment you make the required sales, you get promoted immediately. But what we are going to do down the line is that don't come and ask for support from our support team if you don't have the certifications. So that's how we're going to, we're not going to hold your partner level down because you don't have certifications. You'll immediately get promoted to the level you deserve to be on because of your sales, but the certifications will be linked to your support access. Okay. Right, so in 2023, and I'm really proud of this, these are the top 10 performers in the Australasia region. And out of 10 partners, as you can see, I've got 4 partners from the NZ region that are in the top 10 for the whole region. So this is phenomenal. Guys, if there's any of you from these partners joining us today, a massive well done, and thank you for your efforts. And hopefully at the end of 24, we can have even more NZ partners in there. So a big thank you. It's been a massive year for us. 2024 has been crazy. There's lots going on and a lot more to come. And from us here at 3CX, if you need anything, we're always here for you guys. Megan does an absolutely fantastic job with her team with regards to 3CX. I know we are in extremely good hands with her and Bluechip. But if you do need anything from us, we are here as well. Should we just hop into any questions quickly? Regarding Windows software, and we need to be able to transfer using the Teams or contact tiles. It currently a step backwards from the old software, and that allowed you to click and use. And is Sebastian South African? Absolutely. I am through and through South African. They had to bring us South Africans to deal with the crazies in New Zealand and Australia. So we all get on so well. So yes, I am South Africa. South African. With regards to the soft phone, there is a lot of development going on. As I mentioned, it has been a rollout, so it needed a starting point. So yes, keep an eye on the development. There is a lovely page where you can follow this development and follow what's coming, follow our forums. At the moment, it might be a step backward, as you mentioned, yes, but there is a lot. There's a lot in the pipeline. Okay. Will the updated Windows software in version 20 include chat option and hotkey click to dial, highlight a number and copy it over to the dial pad? Drop me that on an email to sha@3cx.com and let's find out. Let's see exactly. Oh, hello, Miriam. I didn't notice. I think, can you guys all hear me loud and clear? Maybe just give me a thumbs up. I think Megan is having one or two issues. Excellent. Okay, I'm so glad. I was just wondering if it was all of us. So yes, I think there are a number of updates coming to the Windows soft phone. I'm just not sure exactly when and what and how it's going to be rolled out. Any other questions? Use that sha@3cx.com. Send it to me. I will pass it on to the pre-sales and the product team to get you answers. Okay. Some familiar names there. Any other questions, guys? If there's anything I can do for you guys, please just let me know. With regards to today's webinar, thank you very much for joining. I think Megan has had one or two technical difficulties now. I'm not sure what's happened there, but I'm just going to say thank you on behalf of both of us. What we're going to try and do as well is do a partner update, maybe quarterly. I'm going to have a chat to Megan and see what she thinks, but to do this on a quarterly basis to obviously give you guys an opportunity to see what's coming and keep you in the loop. Any updates coming to SIP trunk options for generic providers? What SIP trunk options are you referring to? No, it's only a pleasure, Graham. Thank you very much for joining. It's been a pleasure being able to present to you guys. And I look forward to hopefully seeing all of you later in the year. Andrew, drop me that to the sha@3cx.com email address if you want me to elaborate on something. I'm not 100%. Any updates coming to SIP trunk options like support? We're not, no. As you could see in the beginning of my presentation, we do leave it open for you to be able to use generic providers, but we can't support something that we don't know. I am looking at a few to trying to get a few more certified in the region. Megan and I are busy talking to a few providers at the moment. Now that version 20 has dropped and is probably, I would say, the initial drop is probably 70 or 80% complete. We have had a little bit more movement in other areas within 3CX where the interrupt team is now being able to pick up a lot of the interrupts, that the applications that we've come through. So there are a few that have been approved for Australia, and Megan and I are also working on one or two for New Zealand to try and offer a few more options to the partners under the certified banner. Okay. Does SHA stand for Sebastian Havvas African? Yeah, it can stand for anything you want. Any updates re-SMS in NZ? We are keen to interrupt for this. Absolutely. Send that through to me. Let me see what I can get from the interrupt team for you. I believe I have one or two partners that have got SMS working. obviously unofficially, but send me any requests that you do have for me to find out from the relevant teams internally. Normally in 3CX, they take our initials, so Sebastian Havvas. But when I joined, SH at 3CX was already taken. There was somebody here who's subsequently left, but I couldn't take SH at 3CX. I had to take SHA, unfortunately, but it's fine. Thank you for the explanation. One for SMS client or +1 for SMS. Yeah, 100%. I get that request on a regular basis as well. Great to see the face behind the voice. Sorry, it's not. It's a voice for radio. Let's just leave it at that. Megan, are you back?
My computer has crashed, so I am on my mobile phone. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Excellent. Sorry, everybody. My computer literally just crashed. I lost audio and everything crashed. But thankfully, it kept our meeting going, which was the most important part. So I can't present my slides at the moment because my computer is just rebooting, but really what I was covering off in the next few slides was just about keeping up to date with what you need to do to migrate from version 18 to version 20, because that's very important as well. So there are some fantastic blogs on the 3CX website that allow you to make sure you don't run into any of the gotchas. You can see I'm quickly logging back onto my computer as I'm talking to you. I've got to get past the MFA as well, so bear with me while I do that. Get through it all. So that will just load up as well. The other things to keep up to date with are our newsletters. So we send out a monthly update around everything that's important that you need to know. We're always looking at the blogs and the forums and all of the important 3CX information to ensure that we find what you must know so that you can keep up to date with your customers as well. So that is really, really important, and we make sure we send that information out as well. So with no further ado, I'm going to open it up for questions. Now, Sebastian has the controls, so he will be able to see the questions. I'm just going to try and log back onto the webinar from my computer, which is still rebooting everything up, but we'll give that a whirl as well. Hopefully we will get back in. Excellent. I can see myself. I'm just going to grab my headset. Okay, it's going to let me connect, so I'm just going to log off this one and connect, and I'll be back with you in a second.
So Lydia, just to comment on the battle sheets, I know in your partner portal under the marketing section, there's a download section where you can click on marketing. There has been some stuff updated there with regards to Yaystar. I don't think Vital PBX is on our radar at the moment at all. I know they've been making a large push in the region and using us purely as a marking themselves against us. But there has been some updated material. I don't think with Vital PBX though.
And
Megan,
I'm back. Yay!
Welcome. Megan, can you see the questions? Because there's a question for you.
Yep. I'm going to jump in there now. Just give me 2 ticks. We'll just jump back in here. Getting everything back up and running. Gotta love technology.
When it works.
When it works, exactly. So, just give me a second. We will get through to where we need to be. Okay, coming back here, we'll share my screen. All right. No, it's wiped the chat for me, Sebastian.
Okay,
Can
so
you read me the
quick
question?
question. Will Bluechip be continuing with the call for till product, or is another offering coming for SBC if not using a phone?
So to be decided, not for this webinar. Whoever's asking that question, please reach out to me privately to have that discussion. We do still have call for tell devices in stock, and we do actively still support those devices. What we are seeing is a massive move to the router phone from Yealink and Fanville, particularly in New Zealand. I know Snom can be router phones as well, but we don't see a lot of that in New Zealand. But we are looking at what those other options may be around the SBC
Whoops.
as well. You just broke my side.
Sorry.
So I'm not sure who asked that question, but please just reach out to me and I'll have a chat with you around that as well. So any other questions there, Sebastian?
No, I answered the others.
You've answered all the others. Fantastic.
Yes.
This is why I have a co-host, so that we can make sure that we don't have technology glitches. Nothing more stressful than your computer stopping. But the nice bit was that as I rebooted the computer, once I'd lost the audio, I could get to the meeting via my mobile app. So that makes a lot of difference as well. I think somebody was asking if you were South African, Sebastian. Are we admitting to that, or only when we beat you at the rugby?
Yeah. No, I did admit to that. So no, I am. Yeah. Absolutely.
Exactly. So nothing more is required apart from to say thank you so much to everybody for joining us today, for your patience while I had some technology glitches, and massive thank you to Sebastian for the hours that he works to support us in the region and to be here today to share information. Feel free to reach out to me directly or via our UC at bluechipit.co.nz email address. You can get Sebastian on sha@3cx.com. He's always happy to help our partners here in New Zealand as well. Or you might get Anthony as well, who's fantastic, part of our team. So thank you everybody for joining us today. Thank you, Sebastian. And we will catch you all on the next webinar. So have a great day. And thank you so much for joining everybody.